Welcome, everyone. You are on Encouragement on Fire, and I am Shirley Farrar, and I'm excited to be with you this evening. So, we're going to give it a moment to see if others are joining us from our meetup group, our YouTube listeners or watchers, as well as our Facebook and other individuals within the community. So if you're with me, I'd appreciate it if you would say something in the comments so that I know you're here. Now, today we are going to talk about helping a friend or helping someone in your community who is sick. And I know a lot of times we assume, hey, I know how to do this. I just go out there and do the best that I can. But there's so much more to it. It's another perspective from the person who is actually sick. And so I thought that this segment, we should definitely discuss that. Okay. So I'm excited. I have my husband, Pastor Darrell Farrar, always as my co-anchor. He's with me today. So you'll see him in the future. We're going to have possibly a split screen where you can either see the side of him when he's participating in this process. So I'm hopeful that I know this is Easter Sunday. This is Resurrection Sunday. And instead of canceling it, because I know everyone's so busy today, I figured, you know what, we're going to still have the podcast number 7. And you can come in later on. So I'm hopeful that later on you're going to come in and listen and be a part of the conversation. And even later on, part of the conversation in our Facebook group, maybe you'll come on and give your insight as well. So go ahead, Pastor.
So let me set the foundation for this podcast tonight. I'm reading right from the Bible itself. It's in Galatians chapter 6, verses 9 and 10. And it says, "And let us not be weary in well doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. As we have therefore opportunity, let us do good unto all men, especially unto them who are of the household of faith."
That's a good foundation.
So
an excellent foundation.
What I like about it is that he says, you're supposed to do good. You're supposed to help everyone.
True.
But he says, even more specifically, those of the household of faith, those that that will mourn with you and cry with you and pray with you and worship with you and celebrate, the resurrection with you.
Right.
Those that you go in with all the time.
Right. Well, you know what? One of the things, and you and I, Pastor Darrell, we were talking about before, because we have not only our faith-based people, but we also have individuals in our community. But everyone, no matter who you are, you have read the story of the Good Samaritan. And I believe that's in Luke 10, 25 through 37. And it talks in regards to, the Good Samaritan. He was helping someone who, honestly, he didn't even, I wouldn't say he didn't like them, but the cultures, that community, that didn't match up, and they didn't necessarily fellowship together. They didn't really coincide. They didn't really like each other.
Yeah, they were enemies.
Yeah, they were. I'm trying to be nice, everybody. They were enemies. However, he went out of his way to help someone that normally, in any other circumstance, he would never do that. And there were other people of his kind, people who are of his community, that literally, and I'm surmising it, so I want you to go back and read that story, but everybody knows this story, no matter what faith you're in, no matter what culture, you know about the Good Samaritan. That everyone else that was in some type of socialization with him, they literally walked over him and ignored him. And this was a time in his life he needed someone's help. And so this is a wonderful story to really, begin today talking about how do we go about helping someone, right? How do we take the initiative? I know a lot of you seen on Facebook. I had a little part on the story, the song, "You're So Vain," right? Pastor Darrell, who's that by?
Carly Simon.
Carly Simon. You're so vain. This is not about you. Anytime we serve someone else, we give unto someone else. It's not about us. Think about that. So we all learned in the past, and if you haven't, well, maybe we'll talk about that going forward. The love languages. If I'm going to love you unconditionally, if I'm going to love you, I'm going to tap into your love language so you actually receive the love.
So should let me read a little portion of the scripture for?
Which scripture are you going to read?
Of the Good Samaritan.
Of the Good Samaritan? Well, let's wait a minute.
Okay.
And let's start going into some of the ways that we can help people. And maybe we can pull out of the Good Samaritan story on how, how they can do that. Because we only have a limited time. But so I don't want to.
When we start reading about it,
it
didn't say anything about him being good. It just calls him the Samaritan.
The Samaritan. See, that's our correction.
We have labeled him.
Right. We have labeled him Samaritan.
Showing that there was something about him that was extraordinary. It shouldn't be extraordinary.
So now
it should be common.
If you are some of our faith-based people, then that rings loud to you because, it's like a play on words. We don't want to, semantics. We don't want to state something that is not. So we're in our non-faith-based people, you've heard of the Good Samaritan. And the reason you've heard of him is simply because he did something good. He did something out of the norm.
They have Good Samaritan laws.
Right. And exactly. We're not going to get into that because that's not what this is about. Right. Pastor Darrell can preach that on the meeting house. Amen. But this particular thing is about how do I help somebody when I know that you are sick? So, mainly we're talking about someone who has cancer, but it could be someone who has paralysis or someone who has diabetes or someone who has heart problems or someone who has a disability. Whoever you are going to help who has a sickness or disease, there is a right way and a not so much wrong way, but maybe not effective way to do that. And so we want to make sure that we walk in that person's love language and we see it in a perspective from somebody who is actually sick. Because a lot of times we get ahead of ourselves and we start thinking, well, I'll do this for this and I'll do 1, 2, 3. You know how we're helpers in the community. We want to do this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But did you ever think that may be your way to do it, but not necessarily the best way to help someone? And that's why I always like to go back to the research. So there was an actual study done on Facebook. Go figure, right? And so it's basically talking about ways during someone's cancer treatment, how you would go about helping them. And this is by Laura Nathan Garner. And the study basically talks about some of the best ways that they surmise that people said. See, you always want to go back to the person who's sick. What did they say? Not necessarily, if you've been healthy all your life, you're in a different perspective. So what is it saying? So the first thing, and I'm telling you from a personal experience, when this all started for me, I could not do anything. The fatigue hit me so hard. And I'm very thankful for my caregivers. Now we have caretakers who are employed to be able to take care of you. And then we have caregivers who are like your siblings, your husband, wife, your significant other, those people, your friends that take time out of their schedule to be there for you.
Your Samaritans.
Right, your Samaritans. So the first thing that this particular study talks about, and I'm going to put it in the actual Facebook group page. So if you're not a subscriber, subscribe so you get access to it. The first thing is grocery shopping. Grocery shopping. Go and do this for individuals. It's really important simply because when you're in the middle of it, because you're so fatigued, you honestly you wouldn't eat unless someone was preparing your food or helping you. I was blessed to have my family prepare my food to help me get to the grocery store. And then some days I couldn't. So they would go to the grocery store for me and then come home, prepare the food, and make sure that I was eating. Many times, we just assume, well, everyone who gets cancer they get really thin, or that's just the norm, like everyone assumes. But in actuality, the doctor tells you to eat as much as you possibly can, um, to make sure that you maintain weight on you, just in case you have some reactions from the chemo. So it's better for you to gain weight than it is for you to not be eating. So really take the time. If you have someone who's not physically able to go and to grocery shop, and even if they are, be a good Samaritan, be a good friend, and find out, first of all, do some research. Remember, we're starting to talk about what items a person can actually have on chemo. So you don't want to go out and buy specific fruits like blueberries and strawberries that don't have, remember, I told you about the skin or the peeling, because if you did that, it would harm them. So you want to be really conscious about doing that. And then the next thing is, you know, the person, if they're fatigued, they honestly can't clean their own home. We just assume that people can. And we always ask, Ambassador, I know you've heard, we always ask the question, oh, if you need anything, let me know.
Well,
But we really don't mean
no,
it.
that's
We really
facetious.
don't mean it.
It sounds very outwardly and benevolent, but we really don't. It's kind of like when people say, "Well, I'll
It's just
pray for
something
you."
to say.
I'll pray for you.
Right, right. It's something to say. That's why what I do,
It's
as soon as somebody
benevolent.
say, pray for me, I say, well, bow your head right
Let's
now.
do it now.
Let's do it now. Because I may not remember later, and I want to make sure that I do. But, we should take that time, and reach out and see if they need some dishes cleaned, right? Because that's a daily thing. If they need vacuuming in their home. I was blessed to have family in my house who was able to do those items while I was fatigued, while I was in recovery. But I also had several families, you know who you are out there, who offered to give me um, their house cleaning person. Yes. I was like, what? They said, I'll send him over quickly, no problem. And they will do this for you throughout the month. And I was like, really? And they were like, yes. That is such a blessing to do that for someone. Even if you can't afford that, for a long period of time, like they could, perhaps even one time, right? Just going out of your way to be able to do that for someone. I thought that was just so nice that they love me so much that they wanted to make sure while you're fatigued, I want you to rest. I don't want you to think about anything. I want you to just take the time to take care of your situation.
So they weren't just hearers; they were
Oh,
doers.
they were doers of the word of God.
Right.
Isn't that
They
something?
put it in action.
Yes,
They
they
were
were
ready
like
to
the
go.
Samaritan.
They were mobilized. They was ready to go and
Yes.
jump into whatever's needed.
Yes, and the Samaritan, it's something because the Samaritan, he didn't put parameters on how they were going to help them. He said, give them what they need.
Right.
Isn't that wonderful? So
Well, he went even further. He said,
go ahead.
he said once he bound up the guy or the person, took
right.
them somewhere. He gave them money, said, take care of them.
Exactly. Just like my friends, who I won't say their names because they'll be like, don't say that. But they would bring me food, grocery bags to help remember, I had family doing this, but they went out of their way to come to my house to bring me groceries. Isn't that wonderful? Because they themselves had gone through this and they wanted to make sure you're eating the right grains, you're eating the right vegetables, you're doing what you ought to do.
And
yes.
the Samaritan person is going to go above and beyond.
Yes.
So he gave him 2 pence to the host to take care of him.
Yeah.
And then he told him.
Then he told him what?
He says, when I come back, if you spent more than this, I'll pay that too.
Wow. See, that's and I can say that you'll be able to identify those people who have a genuine love of God in them,
and love for you.
Yes, a genuine love for you, because when you are sick, they go above and beyond. I had someone fix me specific food, a dietary food to bring to me. I had individuals come over my house. One of the things that it does say is bring them a cup of tea. Herbal tea is perfect for someone going through cancer or any type of sickness. And you may think, Well, that's insignificant. For someone who is sick, that is everything because you took the time to say that they were important, that they mattered. And I would say don't stay too long because they do get fatigued. So think about 20 minutes, 30 minutes maximum, but just do it frequently and go see them. A lot of times, we avoid individuals who are sick, but clearly, if you are a good human being, I'll say that. See, you don't have to be a person of the faith. You don't have to be a Christian, a Catholic. You don't have to be a Muslim. You don't have to be of any faith
To show love.
to show love. And that's the
Yeah.
thing. We sometimes classify it as a religious thing. No, it's a good human thing to do these things for individuals.
One of the things that, as you guys know, we were under Reverend Mac for a period of years, and one of the things that he had said I had never heard growing up, but now since then I hear it all the time.
What?
He says, "Give me my flowers while I'm here.
Oh, so true.
Don't wait until I expire or I'm gone to show me that you love me.
Yes.
Give them to me now. So not only can I receive them, but I can recompense them. I can give them to you.
Right.
I can show that love to other people as well.
Right.
Because we all need, and here's your big word for today, everybody, compassion.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We hear those words, compassion. We hear the word empathy, sympathy, and we say those things. And that's all we're doing is saying those things. But do we ever take the time to really understand what it means? It means I'm loving you unconditionally, and I'm finding out what it is you have need of. And then getting in a place, a seat where you are, not a seat where I am. See, because when you're not sick, you're in another seat.
Right. You don't understand.
You don't have the same perspective. But when you're sick, you see things differently. You see life as a daily walk. You see life as, if this is my last day, I want to make sure I live it to the fullest.
You're there to meet the need.
Yes, meet their need and not your own. And I know a lot of times we think, oh, well, I'm doing the best I can because I have a busy day and I'm doing all these things. You know what? After going through this, I see it a little different.
You slow life down.
You slow life down, because people matter. And I want to say that to all of you out there. If you're going through sickness and disease, you matter. Whether you have people in your home helping you, whether you have people in your community, whether, people at the work understand you, you matter. And I would encourage you to make sure that you join groups of people that actually can show compassion to you. If you're in a deficit and you're like, I have no friends like that, people at the job, and there are people out there, you honestly, it's like, who are these people, Shirley, you're talking about? They are out there and they're in different groups. And I would say to you, be careful as you move forward because, we're told in the Bible that, guard your heart. So I would move slowly and I would join different groups in your community and gain friends and, begin to see how others treat you. Those are the people that you surround yourself with, those people that will show you love and kindness. If it's your birthday, those are the people that actually give you a birthday card or they say happy birthday or they call you up and things of that. If you have to beg people to do those kind of things, then those are probably not the people that should be in your inner circle.
Right. You should look for people that is willing to support you through thick and thin.
Exactly.
And right now it might be the thin time for you.
Yes. And they also, I learned also, my work friends are not my social friends. And vice versa, right? And then my faith-based friends, they're not either my social or my work friends. Sometimes you have friends in each category, and guess what? You have to keep them separate. Don't take it personally if they don't intertwine, especially when you get sick. You'll find out that there are a few in each bunch that are available to meet your need.
But the thing is, you don't separate yourself and throw the baby out with the bath.
No.
This is my group of them, and this is my group of them.
Right.
They're all good.
They're all good. And that's the thing. whether people showed the love that during this process that I went through or not, I'm not throwing anybody away. I'm going to love you unconditionally. And I hope that somehow, if anyone is lacking on being a good Samaritan, that maybe God will help you. Maybe you will learn. You'll take some training courses, and or maybe this podcast will help you to say, "Wow, some of the material that you shared on the Facebook group really can help me in the future being more empathetic or sympathetic to people." You know,
and like you were saying, there are companies that
yes,
that's all they do is they're a caregiver. Now they might have to get their
yes,
insurances involved.
right,
But
caretakers,
yeah,
right?
caretaker,
Those
excuse
are the
me.
ones for the
Right,
employment.
right.
Yes,
So,
yes, and
they
if
might,
that's where you have to start,
you got to do what
then
you got to
that's
do.
where you start.
Right. You need support when you're
Absolutely.
in that stage and some disease
Yeah,
or something is racking your body. You need support
you do.
from whoever you can get it from at that point.
You really do. And another thing, another point that was made through this Facebook survey was that you simply need someone to help you with your appointments. Now, I'm telling you, from day one, I was supported by my caregiver, one of my caregivers, which was my mom, and she drove me to and from all of my visits. Now, at first, I didn't think that I would need her, but guess what?
Hmm.
Those in the community that loved on me said, "Shirley, we've been through this, and we're telling you, you need someone that's going to be there for you and drive you to and fro." Now, I didn't understand that. Yeah, honestly, I didn't understand that. I am so thankful that I listened, because the first couple of times I had the actual chemo, it hit me like that. And I was like, what is going on with my body? After a couple of weeks, my body began to adjust. And then the next time, like my third time, the chemo didn't kick in until like my second or third day. So each person is different. I even heard another individual, theirs didn't kick in until like the fourth or fifth day. So everyone is your body's going to react differently. So make sure you have a support group. We're telling you now. So you need a support group that's going to clean your house. You need a support group that's going to buy groceries and cook your meals. You need This is in addition to your the medical staff that will be assisting you. So you're going to have your doctor, the oncologist, or if you have another type of disease, you're going to have that specialist doctor. You may actually have nurses, and then your insurance company is going to call you with nutritionists and all these other support people. Take advantage of it. If they have not called you yet, call them, because it's something under your insurance that they will assist you in.
Yeah.
Oh, go
And
ahead.
as a matter of fact, if you remember a couple weeks we were talking with Pastor Eric Zeidler from River Church in
Yes.
Pennsgrove.
hmm
He said there's an organization in New Jersey that will provide you what transportation
Yes.
free of charge.
Free of charge. And that is, every hospital has that information. So what you need to do is, whatever hospital you are attached to, okay, because there's many hospitals, contact the information desk at that hospital, and they will assist you in that number or numbers and getting all the resources that you have need of. Matter of fact, your first visit, they're going to ask you anyway, do you have transportation? They're going to ask you things like that. But if they don't, be proactive, get ahead of it, because once the fatigue comes, remember, it might not even be cancer, it may be something else. Whatever it is, the fatigue comes with sickness because of the medications that you may be on. And while you're in your journey, while you're on that path, you have to make sure you have already done all the things, prep them, put them in order. So you're going to need somebody, like I said, driving you to and from. And then, even after, let's say now you no longer have cancer, now you no longer have the sickness, whatever it might have been. Guess what? You're still going to need somebody to drive you for a period of time.
Because the chemo is still
It's
working.
still in your body several months later. And guess what? Just like me, it took me a while. And I'm telling you, 5 months later, I'm just now able to drive myself. Okay. And I'm telling you, I'm now in physical therapy. So when I get up and I start walking, totally different than I used to walk before the chemo. So my body has to stretch. It's adjustments, all these different things. So I'm just telling you, make sure you're proactive in this and don't say, well, this is not going to happen to me. You don't know what your experience is going to be like. If you don't need it and you start all these things, and guess what? You didn't need it, at least you prepared for your journey.
And then you can pass the information on to someone else.
Exactly. You can pass it on to someone else. So, just make sure you're doing that. And also, there are some organizations that also do Meals on Wheels, different ones. That's only one, but there's several that do, like restaurants will prepare meals for you and things of that nature. If you need more information on that, I'll try to get that information to you as well.
You get a
You know,
nutritionist.
yes, yes. And listen, if you have a caregiver at home, make sure you have two or three because they're going to get tired. You hear what I'm saying? They're gonna get tired. There was sometimes my mom was tired, like she was driving me several times a week, back and forth here and there. My husband then had to kick in. He was driving me. I'm just, I still had my sons here, so I had access to many people. Then I had friends that were volunteering from work to take me to appointments, things of that nature. If you don't have that right now, before you start your chemo, before you start any treatments under your doctor, make sure you look into that so then you'll be prepared in that as well. Okay.
Well, I mean, we learned all this by on the job training,
Well,
but
actually, I had heard about all of this,
mhm,
Pastor, from my friends. I have at least 7 or 8 different people who have had cancer and survived, beat cancer,
right,
and they were telling me all of this information. Soon as I had shared with them, and they were saying, "Okay, this number one,
right.
number two," and it was the same information they were giving me, and I knew, okay, they're all saying the exact same thing, and that's why we're sharing that with you today so that you don't be blindsided and say, I didn't know. We
Yes.
want to make sure that you know.
So you're basically
No.
telling them, listen,
Hmm.
before, and we pray none of it happens to you.
Right.
Um, get your group,
Yes.
get your group that
Yes.
would support you in
Hmm.
any
Absolutely.
aspect of whatever's going to happen or could
Yes.
happen, and you would do the vice versa
Yes.
with them.
I want to say a couple other things too, and then I'm going to put this information in the group chat so you'll know. But also, I didn't have small children. But if you have small children and you're about to go through this, or you know someone who's about to go through this, volunteer to watch their kids. Volunteer to help their children with homework. It's kind of difficult to help your children if you're fatigued and you're sleeping. I was sleeping 7 hour more like days and then going to sleep at night. I'm just telling you, it's one of those things that it's just part of that process, and your body needs to heal, and that's how it heals when it rests. If your son or daughter has sporting events, find out if you can get some assistance from the school districts or some of the coaches. Many times, if they know you're going through this process, they will volunteer to pick up your son or daughter to help you through the process. And many people, they're good Samaritans. They honestly want to do this for you. So don't think, oh, well, I don't want to ask. Ask, because you never know if the tables turn and you're that person, and now you can help them and say, I remember you were here for me. I'm going to be there for you as well.
You got to go where your favors at.
Yes, absolutely.
It's gonna sound bad, but
Absolutely.
not take advantage of it, but
Hmm.
receive it
Yes,
and
absolutely.
utilize it.
Absolutely. And also, one more thing, make sure that financially, if you have your insurance information, call your insurance company ahead of time. Find out the things that are approved under your insurance
Mhm.
company. If they are not, then you have to make plans to do that. But there are a lot of programs, and we're going to talk about in the future, a lot of programs under the hospitals that anything that you're unable to pay, they have programs that you may qualify for to assist you in that as well. So
Amen.
I'm going to make sure that we write that down, okay, in the Facebook page or our group page, Encouragement on Fire. Well, I am so sorry that we have to leave you today. Our 30 minutes is up, and I want to make sure that you get back to your Resurrection Sunday or your rest today on Sunday. But this has been wonderful seeing you. I am Shirley Farrar, and this is Encouragement on Fire, number 7. Join us again next week for our number 8 podcast, and I will put in our title for the Facebook group as well as on our Facebook story what the next topic will be. Okay? All right. I will talk to you soon. Bye bye.